Okay, so we've got these pillows, but they're kind of looking a bit flat and lifeless. We can probably do a bit better than that. First of all, let me just tidy up here. Call this pillow 1. And let's call this pillow 2. So I can tell what's what on the outliner. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this pillow with a Shift D. And once again, let me turn my screencast keys on. So my duplicated pillow, let's call that pillow 3. Right. So let me turn these two off and turn everything else off. Right. What I want to do is I want to bring this pillow, for now, back down to the center of the grid where the 3D cursor is. So if I go to Object and Snap, I should be able to Selection to Cursor. Okay, so that's back down in the center of the grid. And I should be able to reset, if I go to Item, the rotation, where we rotate it on the X-axis. So I'll just type in 0 there. Right. Now what we're going to do with this pillow is we're going to puff it out. And we're going to do that using one of the physics tools called a force field. So if I Shift A, you can see a force field at the bottom here, and we'll use this one, force. Okay, and you see it's added this kind of object here. What this is, it's like a wind force or a magnetic force or something like that. Let's think of it as a wind force. It's probably the easiest way. That emanates equally all the way out from this center point of this empty axis. Okay. In actual fact, there it is there. Right. So as we activate this force, it should kind of push the pillow out in every direction. But the pillow's going to be constrained by its own geometry. So it's going to kind of puff out rather than balloon out, if that makes any kind of sense at all. Alright, so to do that, we need this pillow to be cloth. Okay, the reason that has jumped is because my timeline was not on 0. The timeline stop-start key is the spacebar. Okay, and it's quite easy to hit that as a typo. It doesn't matter. All you do is make sure that it is stopped. It's not running like that. Okay, simply slide it back to frame 0. Alright, so there's a pillow. We've made it a cloth, and we're using the same default cloth settings, which was cotton or something, I think. Alright, now what we want to do, we want this pillow to stay put where this force field is in the center of it. So we don't want it dropping like a cloth as soon as we start to run the simulation. So if we come down to field weights, and we'll turn gravity down to 0. Okay, so it won't drop. The real world gravity won't be having an effect on it. Alright, what else? So we'll come to the force field, we'll select that. And if we're in the physics tab here again, we'll see we've got some parameters we can set. The main one we're interested in here is strength. We're going to need to turn that quite a ways up. Let's say around about 250 for starters. See how that works. Alright. So we turn that to 250. Let's select our pillow again. And let's run the simulation. And can you see how that's kind of changing shape and puffing like a pillow would? Okay. We can play about with that strength setting. Let's select the force field again. Let's make it 500. Now let's see what happens. Puffs up a lot more and a lot quicker. But we're getting this kind of pillow, more natural pillow type shape, which is what we wanted. Okay. let me select that. Let's right click, shade smooth. Made no difference, it was smooth anyway. The rest of the settings here won't have much effect. In actual fact, we don't need to touch them at all. All we're interested in is the strength. And if you didn't want it puffed up quite so much, you could go the other way. Let's turn it to, say, 50. Let's bring our timeline back to 0. And this will probably go a bit slower. In actual fact, it's not having much effect at all, is it? Let's come back to the beginning. Let's try that once more. Oh, it is kind of pulsating there, so it's just on the cusp of keeping it inflated. These settings will vary according to your geometry, so it is a bit of trial and error. So let's say 75. Let's come back to the beginning. I can either slide this all the way back to the beginning, or I can press this little button here. Okay, let's run that again. 75 is puffing up slower, but it's not pulling in like I wanted, because there's not enough force to kind of force it apart and drag those in. So I think initially, let's try and remember what I had it at before, to 300. Let's try 400 anyway. We're at frame 0 or frame 1, it doesn't matter, 0 or 1. Okay. And it's more kind of the shape I wanted. Okay. So I've got a shape that I like and I want. Obviously you can kind of scrub through and find exactly what you want. I like it there. So I'm going to select my pillow. I'm going to come to the modifiers tab and apply that cloth modifier again. Okay. So now if I edit it, you can see it's all there and working the way I wanted. Right. So let's reinstate everything except the original 2 pillows. Let's call this force pillow instead of pillow 3. F pillow 1. Right. So I can reinstate these so I can see what's going on. I want their headboard and mattress. I don't want these pillows. Right. So let me grab this F pillow 1. Grab it on a Z. And kind of move it to where I want it. GX. GY. Maybe rotate it a little. RX. GY. Something like that. Okay. This force field's kind of in my way now. I can select that and I can delete it with the X key. Let's grab this one again. Shift D on the X axis. X. Oh, they're a bit narrow, aren't they? So let's SX. Okay, so there I've got a couple of pillows. Obviously I can add more. Shift D on the Z. Oops. Shift D on the Z axis. Rotate this one a little bit more on the X. Grab it on the Y and move it back. Kind of there. Easy, just position them how I want, kind of thing. Okay, and make my pillows up that way. I kind of like that, so let me shift D on the X axis again. So we've got one on the other side. There. So these are much more natural looking puffed out pillows than just using the nerve surface method. So that's looking a lot better. I like that. Let's just have a quick look at this in a matte cap. Of course we can play with the matte caps. That's looking pretty good to me. I like that. Okay, so that's a couple of ways to make pillows different from the way we've made them before.